Hey guys, Boinsey here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for joining me as I embark on a new project. This is going to be pretty much every step of the journey from start to finish of building a new course. As you can see, I've got a plot here. I've worked on this for a little while. I'm quite pleased with it. Bit funky, got a couple of different things to note, and it's loosely inspired by my journey to my university town, Aberystwyth, on the west coast of Wales, where I travel along this road. And if I look to my left, I'd see a fairly wide open expanse of a valley with a river running through it, and often think that would be a pretty cool place to build a golf course. So for someone who wants an exact location to kind of geographically pinpoint this course, this would be the Afon Rheidol, fictionalized version, because for anyone who wants to pay too close attention, it's actually flowing the wrong way. But then this portion up here, this waterfall, is inspired by where I went on holiday last year, Skeleth Force and Skeleth Bridge in the Lake District. Pretty cool place. And again, somewhere that I was walking around thinking, this would be a pretty cool place to build a golf course. So that's kind of where the inspiration for this plot has come. And I have dived on in, found a few holes, routed a course, so we're ready to go, because routing's not necessarily a strong point of mine. I think I get there in the end, but it's taken me the best part of probably 5 or more hours to get something that I'm happy with. So I've saved you guys the suffering of watching me tinker with that. If anyone's interested, feel free to let me know and I can go through sort of my process of how I route the course. But I'm no expert. It's just a trial and error process of finding the best holes possible. So here's the routing. I hope that it uses the various features in a variety of different ways. I feel that we've kind of got, the main feature is the river running through the middle, but we've also got a hilly section over here, and then I'm possibly a little bit biased towards the importance of the road and how it interacts with the plot, because that's kind of my experience of this plot in real life. So I figured that there's a clubhouse area in here, and then the first tee, obviously, pretty close to that. We're going to play alongside the road, out of bounds to the left, with a bit of a camber left to right, pushing your ball over this way. So we could have a fairly tricky first hole if there's a bunker in here, but we'll kind of cross that bridge when we come to it. Just got some vague ideas of golf holes at this point. Then the second, we cross the river, so it's not really much of a feature. It's visible off the first tee, but doesn't come into play at all. And then we dive on in on the second. We cross it. I was really trying to get a double green in this portion here, but I just couldn't quite make it work. And in fact, I have half a mind to change the second hole to play to kind of a tucked green there. But again, that's possibly something for slightly later in the project. The third, the first par 5 of the round, up the hill. We've got the view of the hills in the background. We work our way up to cross a bit of broken ground. Not the longest hole, but it does play 50-foot uphill, so that's going to come into things. It's going to make things longer. Before the first par 3 of the round, which a little bit of an optical illusion. It looks fairly dramatically uphill. In fact, if I push the tee slightly further across, or even just raise the tee box, it's actually fairly level, which is quite fun. In fact, if I show it off here, I think that could be a nice view along the plot. Again, the river in the kind of distance, could do something fun with the planting on this bank, and some trees and all sorts. So again, something to consider a little bit further down the line. The fifth hole is a short par 4 into a green that's going to be tucked in next to the third fairway. I don't love this section of the plot, particularly I don't love the fifth hole. I've kind of rooted myself into a corner here between 4 and 6. I just pretty much had to traverse my way down the hill to here. And the other consideration was maybe back-to-back par 3s, but I'm not sure how well that works. Then 6, again, kind of across and slightly up the hill. More uphill on the second shot if we can carry this ridge line, which is kind of just short of driver distance. And we get a chance to go for the green in 2, sitting on this rocky outcropping, before, I guess this might well end up being one of the signature holes, or the signature hole. I was at various stages in the project looking for a big downhill par 3, but in the end I changed it into this downhill par 4. I found this quite nice diagonal carry where we can choose how much of the river we want to bite off, how safe we want to play, to maybe a double green. That's kind of recycling the idea from up here. It'd be nice to possibly have that double green with possibly a bunker sitting sort of in a corner in between them. But then that highlights another nice thing about this plot, that instead of coming back at 9, back to the clubhouse, there's kind of 3 loops. The first loop of 7 holes, then a loop of 5, and then a final loop of 6, which I think is quite fun. A little bit different, a little bit quirky, but not too out there. Something I can very much deal with. Then 8 is going to be a drivable par 4, maybe a shade over 300 yards, maybe slightly under, but with the water sitting right in front of the green. Potentially a nice view down the river, might even catch a glimpse of the waterfall in the background, and the hills of the plot. So just kind of showing off a bit of everything. Then 9, crossing the river again to a green that's sort of tucked next to it. That could be a fun hole, although I will get into another potential issue in just a moment. 10, we have another sort of diagonal carry coming across this corner of the river, and a really fun green site. I originally found a par 3 that would sit in here and play to a really short but wide green, kind of shaped a bit like Spyglass number 4, but with at an angle. But in the end, this green site was a bit too much of an allure, so I moved the hole slightly further up this way. But this could be a really fun approach. We kind of look like we want to be coming in from as far across this way as possible, and probably a fairly short approach because it's not going to be the biggest green, tucked in quite nicely just over this elbow, right in the shadow of the waterfall in this big feature tree. Then another par 3. This is where we get into the shared problem with number 9, that they're fairly similar distances, coming in at 180-ish, just under. So there's probably a bit of wiggle room to drop the green on the 11th back in over the water, and I think that probably makes it a better hole. So that's probably something I'm going to do. And then that means that 12, a longish par 4, plays along across the hill. Water not coming into play at all, so the first hole in a little while that's actually away from the creek. We do hit from near it at least, so it's still a feature, but it's not impacting the hole in any way. Again, coming back to this sort of double green and sitting near the clubhouse, so for the end of the second loop. And then the 13th is going to be probably somewhat of a cape hole. We kind of have that diagonal carry going the opposite way. See how much we want to bite off, how close to the green we can get for possibly having a look at it in 2. The further right and the further back we go, the more trouble we're going to have with our second shot. This was the green that I was looking at trying to sneak in here and have that double green in this little elbow of river, but couldn't quite make it work. It ended up being too long and would be a genuine 3-shot hole. And then it's too far away from this tee. But then 14, probably that sort of Core and Crenshaw, kind of long par 4. Could move the green back a little and have a bunker sitting in the front left corner of it. But I think it's quite a nice location for a hole, again, looking down across the length of the plot. There'll be some holes in the background. 15, somewhat of a filler hole, just playing up the hill to a green bedded into this rocky outcropping again. Gonna have to do something there to make that interesting, to make it play quite fun. Could look at the angle that we're playing, could maybe incorporate the idea of having a second tee box on this side. I'll see when we get there again. But we're going to have to walk up around, probably put some funky steps in up here to get us around the back of the 7th tee box to get into 16. 16 could be a really fun hole. Semi-blind tee shot to a fairway that's again going to camber a bit left to right. The further right we go, I imagine there's going to be a sort of road hole bunker tucked in here. So the further right we go, the more treacherous our approach is. So we're being asked to kind of gamble on the blind shot and have to try and stick our drive up here. And it's quite nice that we're coming back to near the waterfall again. Could possibly look at shifting the green slightly further down the hill and just sit on the other side of the water to the 10th green. 17, I feel is going to be a par 3 that near enough designs itself. It's just hopefully going to be a bit of eye candy. Really short, only just over 100 yards, sitting on a naturally two-tiered green site, most likely, with a fairly aggressive fall away down the front. But that could be a lot of fun, hitting over the water. And yeah, just a visually appealing hole. And then 18, one of the earliest ones I found on the plot. Quite like the drive. Being asked if we think we can make it over this water. Pretty much a yes or no question. There's not really a diagonal aspect to it. If we do make it, we've got a chance of going for the green in 2. If we lay up, might just be slightly out of the question. So possibly a risk-reward hole, looking for making an eagle going up the last. And that will bring us back to the clubhouse. So that's going to be our round. I think it's a reasonably fun routing. I'm fairly happy with probably 15 or 16 of the holes at the very least. And I'm looking forward to cracking on with it. So if you guys have got anything that you'd like to see me work on, any ideas you'd like me to incorporate, or anything you'd like me to talk about, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Obviously, if this is something that you feel like you could be looking forward to and be excited about, feel free to like and subscribe, and come back and check the channel later for episode 2. But until then, guys, that's going to be all from me. So I hope you have a great day, and until next time, bye for now.